it's no secret that I've played Destiny 2 a lot. And by a lot, I mean a lot. Let's put it this way. At the end of Season of the Seraph, I was absolutely addicted. And we did go over the prior Joe Blackburn video. This is, of course, Destiny 2, an update from the game director, Joe Blackburn. My reservations on Joe Blackburn being sent here, I feel he is being pigeoned. This is my own speculation. I have nothing to base this on. This is just from me dealing with the businesses I have, dealing with business policies, etc. And I will also cite that I was correct over a number of months. I said the developers are not the issue with Destiny. It happens to be the management that's the issue, and we've had that confirmed with the layoffs as well. It is a managerial issue. It is a management issue. I would even say it's an executive and potentially investor issue at that point. So we have Joe Blackburn, and he's quote unquote, coming out here, trying to take one for the team, give us an update on the game. And let's put it this way. I am so disillusioned by how this has gone over. And as somebody that is very, very, very against layoffs, I get that from a business perspective. Layoffs have to happen sometimes. I've seen what it does to people. I've seen people's lives ruined over it. I've seen people spiral because of it. Layoffs are one of those things that if you as a company do it, I will definitely look at you in a different light. So alas, Sony, because this is also on Sony as well, because Sony did purchase Destiny, right? It is a subsidiary of Sony at this point. So this is not only Destiny 2's official output, but Sony as well to an extension. So let's see what Joe Blackburn has to say. I did cancel my pre-order of Lightfall. I am not disillusioned because of recent events. I want the game to be good. Don't get me wrong. Top 30% of Raiders. I would love to get to the point where I could duo, if not trio, Root of Nightmares consistently in like 40 minutes. I would love to do it. It just doesn't feel fun to play right now. And there's a lot of us that want the game to be good, but it's just not good. So, a little bit of a different React video today. It's going to be we need to look at this, and we need to see what is being said, and potentially even analyze what isn't being said.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joe Blackburn, the game director for Destiny 2. I'm sure with the announcement today that the final shape is coming out on June 4th, there are a lot of questions.
Oh, it's official now.
Hey, what's the team working on? What's the...
Oh, that's official. Okay. So I have a couple... Okay, so first of all, sure, he's a super legit guy. I mean, he comes across, seems super personable, seems super legit, seems super nice. Nothing against this dude. He's probably being told by an executive or probably being told by some suit, hey, you need to go do this. Our numbers are down by 45%. We need you to go do this. We need you to talk to us, which does run counter to prior in the Lightfall expansion where Destiny says, we need some time. We don't want to talk to the community right now, right? And this was in, response to a unfortunate situation where somebody harassed one of the community leads. Like, don't do that. We're all adults here. Just don't do that. So, I mean, hence getting mixed messages. And I'm calling cap when you deal with anything business related, there's always a pipeline, right? I mean, you look at me, I have videos that are all the way out through January 5th because of how I space certain things out, right? If you look at Pokemon, right? Do you think Pokemon the week prior to Worlds books the venue? No. Do you think that Pokemon VGC says, oh, we're going to be in Nashville and we just picked a location on the map? No. You're looking at 8 to 12 months in advance. They're booking that venue. They're making sure they have everything done. They have a pipeline. Because of how close the original release to Final Shape was to where it was delayed, I would bet that they're on probably finishing episode 2, going into episode 3. Base Final Shape should be finished. I don't see with a healthy pipeline there being anything that should stop that, should cause that to not be the case. When we ended season 2 of Lightfall, when we ended, what was that, Season of the Deep? They should have been finishing with Final Shape. So if I start hearing claims of, oh, well, we're still finishing up, the Gates game isn't done, I don't know about that one, Captain. You're not going to, obviously for obvious reasons, they can't show receipts, they can't show the numbers, they can't show their internal process. However, any healthy business is going to have a pipeline, right? Where if you look at, say, take something in my institution, right? Where I was in the financial sector, right? Do you think that they're just suddenly like one day, yeah, no, we're actually going to open a high yield online savings account. It's going to have up to a 1% interest rate, but you have to have a minimum balance? No. Isn't there paperwork and stuff they have to do beforehand? Construction, right? You don't just start the day of. Your management, your executives, your boss, foreman, whoever is getting all that paperwork and getting all those meetings done in advance. Then he sends you out to the job site, right? It's the same concept with anything else. So I will dismiss anything of like, if it comes up of, oh, Destiny's not quite ready, or, we need some time to finish the final shape. No, come on. Your base game, if not season 2, should be finished at this point in time.
Content is coming out before June. So I wanted to step by down here in the stream room today and drop by with some classic Joe handwritten notes and talk about what we're doing between now and June. I think this is going to be
for clarity's sake, because he's doing this, even if he's under duress from a suit, this man, 1, deserves a raise. 2, if he gets let go for any reason, somebody better snap this man up, because at least he's willing to do the work.
Pretty short video, so I want to get right into it. Let's start with the obvious stuff. Tomorrow, Season of the Wish launches. We're super excited, not only about the story and the content of this season, but how it's going to roll into the final shape. So I hope the small army of you out there with your Last Wish raid jackets are wearing them with pride. I know I will be. Okay. Then, on Friday, we've got Warlord's Ruin. It's a new dungeon coming to Destiny 2 that I would love to talk to you all about, but because I'm at the studio, I'm like a little worried that someone from the Raid and Dungeon team is going to hear me and like come barreling through the door.
So actually, that's a relevant concern. So as somebody that worked professional game development, right? You have people that are working on, and I can't use any names here, right? You have people that are working on Project X. You have people that are working on Project Y. People that are working on Project A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? You have people working on different projects, and while you're technically showing the same building, if not the same floor, even technically sometimes sections of the same side part of the building, right? You walk through a locked door and you'll have like, maybe your executive and or suit, offices against the walls, and you got like, maybe your, well, I'm relating this to finance a lot, right? You got your real estate team that's over here. You got your virtual team that's over here that deals with all the webcam calls and stuff like that. You got your loan teams. You got your, warranty team. You got, your customer facing team, right? That kind of thing. How they're on the same floor, but they're just partitioned. Even in situations like that. Oh, I'm working on Project X. Cool, I'm working on Project Y. Can we tell you? No. That's actually a relevant thing, and I can actually back that with working professional game QA. So that is 100% on track with how that would work, actually.
So we'll let you all see that for yourselves. Speaking of group content, let's talk Fireteam Finder real quick. Recently, we put out some messaging on how Fireteam Finder is going to roll out. I just wanted to give a little more context here. I don't think this is hyperbole when I say I think Fireteam Finder is going to change the way so many of you interact with Destiny 2 on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
That being said, it's a pretty big technical change to the game. So
we're making a lot of technical changes to the game. Where are the changes that we were promised is the thing. And I'm sure he's going to get into it, right? As far as I'm aware, wasn't there news that the light level system would be overhauled completely from a 1 to 10 scaling? Sorry, 1 to 100 scaling? Wasn't that supposed to be rolled out? Legendary shards are getting taken out of the game. We have, and the Eververse, I'm kind of indifferent on. It's whatever. It's how they're going to make money. Like, I totally get that. Like, I'm not going to fight that. Games have to make money. That's just their model. That's how they get extra income outside of the sale of, the expansion, right? I totally get that. I think that adding Fireteam Finder, if it's for, I'm not sure what they would change specifically, as I'm not privy to the conversation that happened or the update that happened. I will say, in regards to Crucible, if Crucible matchmaking comes up, there's only so much you can physically do with the player base that remains. So there's like, on average 30,000 people. We're back to pre-Lightfall numbers, I would argue. And it's one of those things that you look at and you're like, there's not, they say you have 10,000 active players at any given point during the day, right? And, maybe 5,000 of them are using, I don't remember what the rankings are, but they're above like a gold or a plat level, right? And you have like 3,000, maybe 3,000 that don't play, and then the other 1,000 or 2,000 is, like silver below, right? And I know MMR has been kind of a weird issue to fix. You can only fix the MMR system so much because of the lack of players. How I'd argue you would fix a lot of the MMR issues in Crucible is you just attract new players, right? Are you tired there are situations, and this is actually where I wonder, because, right, certain apps you have to be able to block things, right? That was a huge thing with Twitter. That was a huge thing with X, I should say, where, we're going to remove the block feature, but you can't do that and be on, the Apple Play Store, the iOS Store, etc. I think it might be different because of how games are classified. Buddy was running into lobbies where dude was literally just like aimbotting. And that's not hyperbole. Like, dude is, got Cloud Strike from across the map, and, he's peeking around corners and stuff like that and just instantly snapping to people. I will be the first to say, look, there is a high skill ceiling for Destiny. There's a high skilling for a lot of things. Not going to discount that. When you have videos that are on the internet of, YouTube, where people are just flying around the map, sniping people around corners, aimbots, being just showcased willy-nilly. Even on the official Bungie forums, you get things like, trials carries, which are against TOS, right? Buying trials carries. And you block somebody, you expect to not be matched with them. So when you are matched with the same person that you're blocking, and it leads to a detrimental, if not subpar experience, that's, I think, when you go into issues, and that is not necessarily going to retain a PvP player. But once again, I mean, we're also in the situation where Destiny's going to crack down on people that are speedrunning Vault of Glass. They're going to crack down on people that are speedrunning raids and dungeons, right? Whereas, what about the people that are floating in the skybox? What about the people that are actually hacking Crucible? The people using cheat engine, XYZ ABC exploits in Crucible, right? Well, we're tough. And I don't know if that's they want, pad the Crucible numbers. I don't know what that is. I'd be very curious to hear a veteran Crucible player's take on that. I'd be very interested in hearing that. This all comes from wanting to understand game design. It's one thing to, have your torch and pitchfork and be like, oh, Bungie, blah, 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 blah. I want this game to succeed. Like, don't mistake me. Like, Joe is taking the proverbial bullet here by coming out. And how many comments are going to be, you're going to have your positive comments saying like, hey, Joe, thanks for doing this. Hey, cool, thanks for doing this. And absolutely cool. Even if he's under duress from a suitor executive for doing this. I think that we're running into a situation where he's going to take a lot of flack for this, and I don't think it's necessarily deserved when it's not his specific fault. And, I think we do deserve answers. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to rack my brain for why they're making so many large changes. The thing that I have no backing for, and that I think is happening, is that they're getting ready for end-of-life support for Destiny. Getting rid of shards, getting rid of certain engrams, getting rid of XYZ ABC, giving us streamlined exotic engram drops, right? Fireteam Finder, Are you just getting ready for terminal care of the game for when you swap over to Marathon? It's just one of those things that is stuck in the back of my brain for the last few weeks.
Be really careful with how we roll this out. We're going to be doing limited windows with limited activities to start. This is going to allow us to collect the data we need, take it on, see how server stability is affected, take it off, make changes, and then roll it out better and better each time.
So, counterpoint, why are you just not running out developer betas? Like, if and this is actually, I feel, a valid critique, right? If gathering this data and having certain runs of certain things, right, such as Fireteam Finder, running certain features before, why do you, one, not have a PTR? Two, why do you not have a closed test world, right? Three, as somebody that worked, once again, in games Q&A, do you know how tight that stuff is locked down? Like, so I can't go into, because NDAs, right? I can't go into what I worked on. I can tell you that I had multiple passwords, multiple usernames. We were given certain builds to use, and, we had to deal with that. How is it hard to do Destiny 2 B, for B for beta, LF 4.1 or something like that? And even then, like, getting rid of staffing is also not necessarily the answer, and is going to go counter to that point. Why should the end user be affected is all I'm trying to get across. PTR and test servers can't be data mined, or can be data mined. They probably don't want that. I mean, that is also fair as well. That is relevant, and that's why you would make it a closed environment in that case. So I think that having your end user be the guinea pig is, while it is an business tactic, I don't think it's the business tactic to have. And I do take a little bit of issue with that from just a consumer standpoint, if that makes sense.
Ultimately, what we're going to be working towards is a version of Fireteam Finder that you can use for raids, dungeons, strikes, PvP, whatever you want that needs a group.
Is this the stupid feature that was supposed to be implemented back in, like... Yeah, this is the like, you can go to the raids and there's the button to find a fire team, but I don't think it's ever really worked. Or like I remember hearing about this feature since like season 13, Season of Arrivals, right? Is this the feature? It still hasn't come out? Bro.
In the new year and right before the final shape.
I think this is terminal support.
PvP. So last time we talked a bunch about PvP. I just wanted to give an update on where we are.
Okay.
We've got a Crucible Labs mode that we've been experimenting a lot with called Checkmate.
Okay.
We're going to do two things with Checkmate this year. We're going to take Checkmate and put it onto the core Crucible playlists. It's going to be like 6v6 control unranked. We want to see how the Checkmate rules that we've been experimenting with interact
It was announced from Season of the Deep. I'm thinking of a different thing then. Thank you for clarifying that, Quetzal.
with a larger Crucible ecosystem.
Okay.
But ultimately, what we're trying to do with Checkmate is not create a third or a fourth way to play the game.
Okay.
Checkmate is all about a more deliberate Crucible. So we want to
Okay.
take the rule changes for Checkmate, be this slower ability recharge rate, or different rules around special ammo. We want to find the stuff that's working, and we want to start porting those rule changes over into the core Destiny 2 Crucible.
Look, I'm not a good PvP player. We've seen this many times on the channel. We've seen this many times on stream. I'm a good, I would argue, PvE player. I at the very least, I know how to do planets in Root of Nightmares, which surprisingly, even with the amazing Tom Christie video out, people still don't understand planets, and it boggles me. So here's the thing, though, right? If we're going into a mode, right, that is going to be a slower Destiny, and we got shields, and, we still have why am I just not playing Halo? Why am I just not playing Halo Infinite? Why am I just not playing Halo Reach? Well, Kip, they're different games. Yeah, they are different games, and you play Destiny for a very specific purpose, right? You can pull out Forerunner, you can have Gnawing Hunger in your energy slot, you can have your, what's fixed odds the machine gun? Fixed odds in the heavy slot, right? Or you can have something, like Outbreak Perfective, V-Wing with Catalyst, Suros Regime, Night Watch, I guess, if you want to be that person in kinetic slot, right? Like, there's so many different weapons and so many things to do. And, like, I get it. I understand. There's a reason that I played Destiny for as long as I did. Not as long as some creators, right? But, long enough that I feel I can at least speak on some parts of the game. I understand why it's got a addictive gameplay loop. I understand in regards to just playing Crucible, right? I understand why people like it. I understand because of the drip alone too, the customizability, right? You can show up with a season of the Deep drip. You can show up looking like Patrick Star if you had season 4 drip that's not available anymore. God, I missed that. Banana Titans as well, right? I understand why people play it. And me saying, oh, well, I'll just go play Halo. I'll just play Call of Duty. Like, that doesn't necessarily suffice as an explanation for a lot of people. I understand that. I feel that this is going to homogenize the experience depending on how it's put. Like, I'm more than happy to see how the Crucible community receives this, how they change it, how, it's received by the community as a whole. If done incorrectly, I feel that it could homogenize the experience. And at that point, why are you just not playing Halo? Why are you just not playing Call of Duty? Why are you not playing Battlefield 2042? Why are you not playing Overwatch, right? When you start homogenizing experiences, suddenly you lose what you did in the first place. We've seen this many, many, many times with other games, right? People would argue Halo 4. I liked Halo 4. I even liked Halo 5. But they homogenize it into kind of a COD Twitch shooter experience where people are just going to play Call of Duty, right? They're just going to play other things. You can stick to what you do best and work from there. At the very least, you stand out. So, there's a whole rant on that subject as a whole, but I'm very curious if you're a Crucible player, if you play ranked Crucible and you heard about these changes, I'm very, very curious what your stance on it is.
This is about creating a Crucible that is more strategic, is more focused on your guns, and is more focused on the loadout that you're bringing in to fight with.
I would just play Halo Reach.
Speaking of Crucible, let's talk maps. So not only do we have the Citadel coming to Destiny 2 this week, we also are still cranking out maps for the map pack that we talked about earlier this year. This is going to be coming out in the new year all at once. We've got 3 maps, one on Europa, one on Neomuna, and one on the Terraformed Pyramid.
That's a lot of maps. I want somebody to cite this and hold Bungie and Sony to this. Because this is coming from an official Destiny 2 owned by Sony channel. And if they don't deliver this, That's one of those things that you bring up and say, look, you keep trying to garner support. You keep saying you're going to turn things around. But if you're not going to deliver on these, how can we trust you? That is a perfect way to, one, have a citation. Two, this is the expectation. And whether that comes to fruition or not, right? Say, for example, it doesn't come to fruition. And they're like, legally, as far as I'm aware, they couldn't be held liable. However, you can still look at Bungie and Sony by extension, be like, look, you're not delivering on promises. This needs to be heard. This needs to be talked about. And I think that's the takeaway from that.
I actually got a chance to play test these again yesterday. I'm really excited about all of them. I think I did the best on the Europa map, but right now I think Neomoon is trending to be the sort of internal favorite. Really excited to see how all these get built and continued over development.
I also just have a lot of issues with Neomoon from how it's balanced and like how tanky everything is. I have a lot of issues with Neomuna as a zone, not necessarily the map.
Excited for them to get in your hand. They're all sort of Jav 4 size. So we know we've been putting out a lot of larger maps. We want to put out maps that are going to be able to really excel in modes like Trials of Osiris and the competitive playlist to really balance out both these larger experiences and more, close quarters experiences as well.
So I would argue, and I think this is a valid argument, I think this is relevant, instead of adding new game modes to support Trials of Osiris, can we get to the point where we stop having Trials glitch out consistently? People should not go flawless and have the chest glitch out and have to go flawless again to get like their Igneous Hammers, right? I think let's fix the core functionality. Let's make sure this, the ranked playlist actually functions, and then we can start talking maps. I think that is going to be, in terms of priority, maps are like a 2, not getting your Trials chest after going flawless. That's kind of a 0 game-breaking bug kind of thing.
Ultimately, this is not everything that we're doing in PvP. So
that's my personal opinion,
out for socials. We're trying to make sure that the Destiny 2 Crucible is built for those folks that love to log on and play Destiny PvP every single day.
There's nothing wrong with that.
All right, let's see what's on page 2 here. I think the big question in everyone's mind is, okay, but Season of the Wish content is going to roll out. Talk to me about February through June. So starting in February, we're going to be rolling out more content that's available to anyone who plays Destiny 2. It's going to start slow in February with things like moments.
Wasn't there the issue with the armor that they promised? What was it, the end of Season of the Deep? And then going into this season, wasn't it locked behind some sort of challenge, or was it Bright Dust? I'm very cautious when Bungie at this point says it will be free to all players. It will be available to all players. That's one of those things that I start arching my eyebrow.
Moments of Triumph and a series of progression, reward-centric weekly quests we're calling wishes. I'll let the folks on Reddit theorize on what they think these wishes could be.
There you go, Bife. There's your video.
Then in March, we're going to be pulling Guardian games in, and this year it's got a revitalized focus on this sort of class v class competition that we think really is going to accelerate the creative and the excitement around the event.
Okay.
But ultimately,
I'm for this. As far as I'm aware, let's just make sure that the fixes that have been implemented prior actually are in this time. I mean, that's really like, is it a stable experience? Is this acceptable as an experience, right? That's all I really care for.
We're trying to get towards April and May. We're going to be talking about a new period of Destiny we're calling Destiny 2 Into the Light. Now, as we get closer to Into the Light, we're going to be talking more about it in the new year. But this is really built not only for the folks that have played Destiny for 5,000 hours, but also for your friends, for your family, for people that are just getting into Destiny.
Did this just turn into marketing? Like, he's got to have something else, right? There's no way this can just all be marketing. Because like I hear this and my brain actually starts to error 404. Like, it's kind of like when you're scrolling TikTok or YouTube and you see like the AI voice that's like Granddad got the sauce, and it shows like barbecue sauce, something like that, and you can see it's an advertisement from X barbecue. And my brain just tunes it out. I'm holding out hope. There's no way that this just turned into marketing.
Destiny, and want to prepare for the final shape. We're really excited about the content and rewards that are coming in this. So please stay tuned. We'll be talking more about what's happening in these sort of 2 months before the final shape as we get closer to them. But all of that aside, what most of the team is working on right now is what's coming out in June.
Okay.
The final shape. We know
you clearly mean the back half of it, right? Because we went down from 4 seasons to 3 episodes. There's no way you have not finished at bare minimum Final Shape episode 1. You should be finishing episode 2 at this point with your pipeline. There is no way you're not finished with it.
know there are high expectations for the way that we're going to put a bow on this 10-year saga of Destiny 2.
Uh-huh.
We know that y'all are expecting awesome, gorgeous new locations, a bunch of new stuff to fight, and a bunch of new ways to fight it. All
Sure.
alongside a story that has to stand side by side with some of the best stories our studio has ever told.
Right.
I'm going to be honest. We've been holding some cards close to our chest on this one.
I mean, which makes absolute sense, right? So this is actually a problem with the modern games market. I will actually defend Joe Blackburn on this one. I will defend Destiny on this one. So here's the thing. Where modern games, when everything gets data mined now, Tears of the Kingdom, right? Released like a day or two early, did it not? I waited until like launch week to watch those trailers. I didn't want to go in with any spoilers. I tried incredibly hard. It is harder to go unspoiled in the modern games market than to actually just look online and say, oh, cool, that's the game, right? Dude had Starfield earlier this year, right? He got Starfield from some distributor of some sort, right? I think he got arrested for it because he was selling them on eBay, right? This is a very real concern with modern games, modern pipelines, modern logistics, shipping, manufacturing. Like there's many points that the product or plans can get out. So playing cards close to the chest, I will defend to a point. I think that it's necessary. I think especially because you want to market your product. And if your product is good, absolutely, I totally agree with it. So, I mean, I don't think that's necessarily egregious. I will defend Bungie on that one.
And I'm going to ask that you bear with us for a little bit longer because we think a bunch of the systems and the gameplay that we want to talk about are things that you need to see, not just hear.
Right.
So in April, when we come back with gameplay from the final shape, we want the game to speak for itself.
Okay.
All right, I promised I wouldn't take as long this time. I've got a bunch of play tests to run to. So thanks so much for spending some time with me this morning. I am going to see all of y'all this week in Season of the Wish. Thanks again. Bye.
I do want to thank Joe Blackburn. Not that he's going to see this, right? I do want to thank Joe Blackburn for a second. Absolutely. Just seems like a super legit individual, super awesome. Whether he did this of his own volition, whether his team nominated him to do this, whether he vied for this, whether he said, hey, I need to do this, I need to talk to our community, or whether a suit or executive somewhere was just like, yeah, you're going to do this. We need you. We need to save face because of sales, right? Regardless of the reasoning behind him doing it, I think that he did a good job here. I think that he made it concise. I mean, I've easily tripled the length of this video. Let's be real. And, there are things that he can't talk about. There's things I can't talk about while working at a financial institution. While I'm not necessarily under an NDA, I am under federal regulations. I can't tell you who I necessarily worked with. I can't tell you what company I worked for because logical reasons, right? Representative of each other while not being representative of each other. But like, I can't tell you, oh, I worked with this specific person and this is their finance, right? No, there's federal regulations about that. So I understand you need to play cards close to your chest. I understand, a lot of the need for, hey, this is an update. We don't have much for you at the time, but we are getting close. So, I want to commend him on that point. In regards to Destiny, I want to see it do well. I want to see it succeed. I just want to see it succeed. I would love to be able to go back to the game. I would love to be able to, even after, final shape, it be in a playable state, it be in a state where it is a healthy and thriving community, right? RuneScape right now has roughly about 200,000 online users, right? I would love to see Destiny hit numbers of 100,000 plus, right? I would absolutely love to see that, but a lot of game-breaking issues, a lot of game-breaking bugs. Lightfall itself made everything tankier. I played Crota's End contest day one, and it went spectacularly. If you were there for that stream, you know I can only kill so many barrier champs before I just start sweating, and I'm just like, oh, I need a nap. It is one of those things. Lightfall's been a letdown for a lot of people, and I myself, I canceled my Predator for Final Shape, I will be looking at the introductory week. I will be looking at the week at the videos that it goes live. If it is buggy, if it doesn't work, if features are just missing, incomplete, it's not a good experience. I won't be ordering it. But I did cancel my pre-order. And if you're going to keep your pre-order, if you're not going to keep your pre-order, you should always feel empowered to do what you feel is right, what you feel is the relevant decision. And if you still like Destiny, don't get me wrong, how'd you still enjoying it? I really, really am. I've actually been debating on getting a group of 5 other Guardians together. I want to get footage of all the raids still, if I can, but it's in a state right now, and I'd need some support on that one. And it would just be to go in, we're just gonna knock out some raids, so that way I just have the footage, because I would be installing until the game showed it was in a better state. That interests you? I mean, maybe we can get something together, but if not, it's whatever. I got other projects in mind, and I hope that this game turns it around. I hope that Sony and Bungie are looking within. I think that they're they need to be reflecting, and I'm very, very sorry to all the devs that were severed from the studio, all the talented and wonderful personnel that were begging for this game to be better, to change the game, to do things to make the game into a healthier game. And were unceremoniously let go, especially in time for the holiday season. That does, excuse me, that does leave a sour taste in my mouth. And that is a huge consideration in buying Bungie and Sony products for me, just as somebody who's seen people get laid off. But alas, what are your thoughts? I know I almost quadrupled the length of this video. Do you still play Destiny? If so, are you having fun? Do you think that a lot of this is, groundless? What's the word? That you think a lot of it's groundless? Do you think that Destiny has done too much to come back from? Do you also think that laying off was kind of a moment where you're just like, do you think that there were situations in regards to the PsyOps battleground where you have Savathun one-shotting Guardians who have triple arc resist on and under resilience, right? Do you think that the game's in a healthy state? Do you think that it's not in a healthy state? I encourage intellectual discourse. I encourage, hey, these are my citations I bring to the table. Please don't make it turn into a negative kind of thing. And understand that I do this as a desire to open these conversations up, and I want to see this game get better. But if it doesn't, I have other things that I can do. Alas, let me know in the comment section. I'll see you in the next one.